That afternoon, I returned from the rice fields after spending hours tending to the plants. The sun was right above my head, its hot rays stinging my skin, but the gentle breeze kept the air cool. The sweat on my forehead slowly dried as I walked along the path that cut through the expanse of green rice fields. On my left and right, the yellowing rice fields waved in the wind, as if greeting my departure. Sparrows flew above them, looking for the remains of scattered rice grains. In the distance, the mountain stood firmly with its peak covered in thin mist, presenting a very peaceful view. The bright blue sky was decorated with white clouds that moved slowly, creating soft shadows on the surface of the rice fields that sparkled in the sunlight. My steps stopped for a moment when I saw a small river on the edge of the rice field. The clear water flowed slowly, carrying leaves that had fallen from the trees on the edge. I washed my hands and face, feeling the freshness of the water wetting my skin. Not far from there, several small children were playing happily, jumping into the water and laughing out loud. Their voices blended with the chirping of birds and the rustling of leaves blown by the wind, creating a natural harmony that soothed the heart. I walked back along the dirt road flanked by shady trees. The scent of wet soil and fresh grass wafted through the air. On one of the branches of a mango tree, a prenjik bird perched, chirping loudly as if entertaining the farmers who had just finished working. In the distance, the sound of cows mooing could be heard from the pen, indicating that it was almost evening. My heart felt full of gratitude, because I could enjoy the beauty of nature that was so calming. Nature gave me peace, and I knew that tomorrow, I would return to walk the same path, tending the rice that continued to grow, and enjoying again the beauty that I never got tired of looking at. That afternoon, I walked slowly on the path to the house, leaving the rice fields that I had been working on since morning. The sun was shining brightly, but the gentle wind made the journey comfortable. Along the way, my eyes were spoiled by the expanse of plants that grew luxuriantly, as if greeting anyone who passed by. In one of the fields, I saw rows of tomato plants that were still green, their leaves fresh and their stems strong and upright. The hanging fruit looked round and ripe, although not yet perfectly ripe. In a few more weeks, the green color would definitely turn bright red, ready to be harvested and taken to the market. I imagined how happy the farmers would be when they saw the results of their hard work manifested in perfect fruit. Not far from there, several farmers were busy working under the hot sun. Some were hoeing the soil, preparing the land for the next planting season. Some were weeding so that the main crops could grow without disturbance. Some of them gathered on the rice field embankments, taking a short break while joking around, laughing freely even though sweat was streaming down their faces. I continued walking, enjoying this lively scenery. In the corner of the field, a female farmer was seen bending over, picking ripe red chilies. Every now and then she wiped her sweaty forehead, then put the chilies in a basket that was almost full. A small child sat nearby, perhaps her son or grandson, watching in amazement at how his mother's hands were so deft in selecting the best chilies. On the other side of the road, an old man was carrying 2 buckets of water to water the plants. His steps were slow but full of perseverance. He smiled when he saw me, and I returned his smile with a respectful nod. In my heart, I was amazed by their spirit. No matter how hot the sun was, they continued to work with strong determination to support their families and ensure that this land would continue to produce. My journey home today was not just an ordinary journey. Along the way, I saw the dedication and love of the farmers for the land they cultivated. Every plant that grew, every fruit hanging from the branches, was evidence of their hard work. The blue sky, the gentle breeze, and the sounds of nature that accompanied my steps seemed to whisper that life is beautiful if we are willing to be grateful for it. I became even more excited to return home, bringing with me memories of the scenery I saw today. Tomorrow, when I return along this road, I am sure there will be new scenery waiting, but the spirit of the farmers will remain the same, never giving up and always full of hope. The sun was still shining brightly, but the gentle breeze brought coolness, making my steps feel light. I looked around, enjoying the expanse of green that stretched out wide, and the activities of the farmers that never stopped, even after the harvest was over. In the distance, my eyes fell on a chili field that had just been harvested. The soil was still loose, with the remains of chili leaves falling between the rows of plants that had been pruned. The red color that previously dominated the field was now replaced by brown soil that looked empty, but not completely deserted. In the middle of the field, several farmers were still busy with their activities. They did not stop after the harvest was over. Some were clearing the land, some were pulling out the remaining plant stems, and some were looking for grass for their livestock. One of the farmers, an old man with a wide-brimmed hat, was seen bending over to cut the green grass that was growing abundantly in between the chili harvest fields. With a sickle in his hand, he swung it deftly, gathering the grass into a large pile. Every now and then, he lifted his head, wiping the sweat from his forehead with his worn-out shirt sleeve. Although his movements were still clumsy, he picked up the scattered grass and put it into a large sack that was already half full. The scene was so familiar to my eyes. For farmers, every part of their land always had value. After the chilies were harvested, they did not just let the land lie fallow, but used it to find animal feed. The grass that grew wild in between the fields became valuable food for the cows, goats, or buffaloes that they raised. Nothing was wasted. Every part of this land always provided benefits. Not far from them, several sparrows flew low, probably looking for the remaining chili seeds left on the ground. The wind blew carrying the distinctive aroma of rice fields, mixed with the scent of freshly cut grass. I took a deep breath, enjoying the freshness of nature that was so calming. As I walked past them, the farmer greeted me with a friendly smile. "Back from the rice fields, son?" he asked. I nodded while returning his smile. "Yes, sir. Still busy looking for grass for your livestock?" "Yes, it's good for cattle feed at home," he replied while patting the pile of grass on his shoulder. "If not like this, it will be difficult to find food for them." I nodded in understanding. The life of a farmer never really rests. After harvesting one crop, they will prepare for the next planting season, or take care of other things that are no less important, such as looking for livestock feed. I continued my steps, leaving the fields that were now gradually deserted. However, the spirit of hard work that I saw today remained in my mind. I knew that tomorrow or the day after, these fields would come alive again with new crops, and the farmers would continue to work with the same diligence, because for them, land is not just a place to plant, but a source of life that must be guarded with all their heart.